Hello, and thank you for joining us on Overtime. The firm CyberNinjas, hired by the Republican legislature 10 months ago in the Arizona audit for the presidential election results, has finished their study. They have reached their conclusions and are expected to release it today. It's expected to be 3 volumes. Now, according to a preliminary draft, which was leaked earlier yesterday, CyberNinjas will say that while finding a number of irregularities and significant problems with how the election was done, they will nonetheless say that they reached the conclusion that Biden not only legitimately won the election in Arizona, but that Trump lost by an even wider margin than previously believed. Despite this being a win for Democrats are preparing to continue their claim that the entire audit was done poorly and should never have been done in the first place, needlessly casting doubt on an election for which there was no evidence of any tampering whatsoever. Further, the firm itself had no experience in any project remotely close to this scale and had never audited an election in their history. So, meanwhile, Trump has demanded that Texas also audit their election in a similar fashion. Meanwhile, the Congressional January 6th Committee has subpoenaed at least 4 members of the Trump administration, or 4 previous Trump insiders, including Steve Bannon, who, while he has claimed has not been in contact with Trump over the last few months, it turns out it appears he has been. They appear to be making the case for claims of sedition against Trump himself, as more notes and interviews reveal the extent to which Trump attempted to overturn the results of the election. This includes, but is not limited to, quote, a vast disinformation campaign declaring that the election had been stolen, and a, quote, blueprint for how to prevent Congress from certifying the election and for how to overturn the election at the Electoral College level. It includes also demanding that Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, retroactively declare the 2020 election invalid. This was a request made last month, actually, and demands that the Justice Department declare election fraud so that Trump may unilaterally stay in power. He ordered them to declare the fraud, knowing that there had been none, having been told by them that there was none and that there was no precedent for it. He ordered it, and then said that he and the Republicans would figure out how to stay in power past that point using the Justice Department's warrant. This is obviously, and hold on one second, because I believe, all right. They are also relying on a book and new notes from Bob Woodward and Robert Costa, in which they claim that Trump had this blueprint to stay in office, that he was following the blueprint, and that he knew in advance of the January 6th hostile takeover of the Capitol building. So a lot going on with that, but at this point, the takeaway, I think, is that CyberNinjas has in fact completed their report. There's been a leak of just the main results, which appears to be that Trump lost by an even wider margin than the official tally would indicate, and that despite some irregularities, Biden is in fact the correct winner in the Arizona election, meaning a great deal of work and undermining confidence in the election for no good reason. Now, let me state, I don't think you should never do an audit of election results. That would be a foolish claim. I do think you should never unnecessarily undermine the confidence in an election, especially in a democracy. confidence in our elections is all we have. If your vote doesn't mean what you think it does, there's no democracy anymore. We'll just put Putin in power and leave it at that. That is what Trump is doing. And a recent survey finds that 78% of Republicans think that Biden actually should not be in office and that he did not win the election. That's a staggering amount and can only be accomplished by a tremendous amount of disinformation. And it means that from now on, with every election, the first thing that somebody is going to do is contest the results, and we're just going to have endless arguing and bickering and eventually violence over the results. The purpose of laws isn't justice. We don't have laws for justice. I get that view, and ostensibly you try to carry out justice, but that's not why we have laws. We have laws for civility. We have laws so that there's no violence. When there's laws, people, A, know how to behave, and B, have recourse when somebody behaves inappropriately towards them, whether it's a slap or committing theft on the order of several $100,000. You have recourse without having to go up, pull out your gun, and blow their head off. The only thing between us and Deadwood, South Dakota, the only thing between us and complete lawlessness isn't guns. It isn't the threat of violence, although, admittedly, if the government couldn't enforce its will, we couldn't have peace. But it's the laws themselves, the laws that all of us have a part in making. That's how this system works. Trump is undermining that for one reason and one reason only: to stay in power. That is a dictator as bad as any we've ever seen, from Pinochet to Putin. Is that bad? That he's not that violent, that he doesn't carry out death squads, is only because he hasn't been in power enough to figure out that he could do it. He was kicked out, but he's trying to get back in, and he's using every single one of those methods at his disposal to make American elections as clear, transparent, and as reliable as Russian elections. That's Trump's plan. That's what he's doing. He doesn't see it that way. He sees it as he's just doing what it takes to stay in power. What every good what every good president would do. At any rate, I don't think this is going to have much of an impact on the Arizonans who are claiming, it's not even Arizona, it's not citizens of Arizona, it's just the Republican legislature that's saying that this was fake, that the election actually went to Trump. I don't think it's going to have much of an impact. If they cared about reality, I don't understand why with this report, we wouldn't have even gotten to the point where they had to do this report, because the reality was Trump lost. That's what all the evidence says. That's what every judge has said. That's what every single investigation into this has said. Trump lost. Since they don't care about reality, the fact that their firm that they hired has reached the same conclusions probably won't change a thing. At any rate, we're expecting those conclusions to be made public probably within the next couple of hours. It's going to be 3 volumes. Enjoy it. Thank you all for joining us.